Okay.
Hey guys, I guess if you're seeing this video, you've tuned into my YouTube channel, so thank you for being a subscriber or just tuning into this video. I've decided to start a new series of video, kind of a video book, so to speak, but I'm here with my grandma Alma, and I wanted to record some things with her, just kind of about what she's learned through life and all the things that she's encountered through the years, and just kind of wanted to have this to look back on and have memories that we've made together. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do enjoy it, do a thumbs up or comment. I would really appreciate that, just so I would know that you're seeing my content or enjoying it. But we'll go ahead and get started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first we'll start out with your name.
Alma Faye Holt.
Alma Faye Holt.
I was a freeman before I married.
And what year were you born?
1943.
1943. So you were born just right after the Great Depression.
Yeah, sure was.
Did you experience anything from the Great Depression that might have lasted over into your parents' lives?
I can't say that, but I had my own Great Depression after I married. There was no jobs to be found. Times were hard. It wasn't a depression, but it was my depression.
Right, it was a hard time for...
Very hard.
For you.
After me and Charles married in 59.
59.
He couldn't find work. There just wasn't much work.
Not a lot.
Mom, I need a drink.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I go
No. So, where were you born?
In Limestone Valley.
Limestone Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And is that, I know that you were born there, but how long did you grow up in Limestone Valley?
We stayed there till I was almost 8. We left there in January of 51, and in May I turned 8.
8.
So I only knew the people that was around us real close. I heard names of people that I never met. My parents knew.
So do you remember a lot from Limestone Valley?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. I went to school with my brothers there before I started school and was transported to Deer. And I went first and second, and I went 3 years in Deer school. And then we moved to Oklahoma. Well, now we didn't. We moved to Oklahoma and stayed 3 years. And then we moved back to this area here, Johnson County.
So do you feel like during that time you remember life as being hard, or do you remember life being good because you were a kid? Did you enjoy?
I enjoyed life. We didn't have much. We could walk to Sunday school when we was able, if the weather permitted. And in Oklahoma, we went back into Arkansas. We lived actually in Arkansas, but our mail route was Oklahoma. And we went to church in Arkansas then. And those were good times. They were carefree. And we were poor, but nobody told us we were poor.
Right. Didn't know any different, huh?
No.
Now you said you talked about going to school with your brothers. How many siblings do you have?
I had 2 in Limestone School. I had 2 siblings that was born before me. One was born dead and one lived 5 days. And then I had a sibling that died in Limestone when I was...
Hey, Mom, can we get a milkshake?
8. 8 years old, I guess, just before we left there. In fact, that was 50. He was born in 1950 in September and died in December. And we left there in January. We sold everything and moved.
So you had those siblings, the siblings that you had that lived to be adult age. Tell us about your siblings there.
I had one older brother, Fred, and he passed 2 years ago. He was 5 years older than me. And then I have a sister that was 2 years younger than me, and one that's 5 years younger than me. And then I had a brother that was 10 years younger than me, and he passed away when my mama got killed. They died together in a car accident. So it's been a kind of a whirlwind life, but I've had a lot of happiness. And in 1959 is when I met him in 57. My husband, we married in 59. And that was my life until he passed away. And now I realize I'll see him again someday, but until I do, I have a lot of sorrow in my heart, because I miss him so bad. He was my life, my everything.
So tell us about when you met him.
Well, actually, I knew him from the area we lived in. We lived not far apart, and I'd see him from time to time. And he actually came home with my brother one time, and they was shooting at a target with a 22. And he didn't know I was alive then. I was 10-year-old. I wasn't girlfriend age. But I met him in 57. A neighbor died, and they had her funeral way out in the country. And while I was there, he kept looking at me. And he told my brother, actually, I have a stepbrother that we raised, or not a stepbrother, adopted brother that we raised. And he died about 5 years ago. But we was at this funeral, and after it was over, we were outside waiting for the family to have visitation. I noticed he kept watching me, and he told my brother to tell me he's coming to church before church to pick me up. So we got acquainted through church, really. That was it.
So how old were you when y'all married?
I was 15.
15?
I was 15.
And he was?
He just turned 20, and I was just fixing to turn 16. So we were 4 years apart. He always said he was so much older than me, but he wasn't.
Not that much.
Just the right age for me. I didn't care about age.
Right. So, we'll talk about your children now. So you have 5 children, the oldest being James, my dad, and then Anita, Teresa, Mike, and Jeff. So tell us a little bit about your life.
Yeah, we've been married a year. Actually, my oldest son was due on my first anniversary, but he came early, 12 days early. So he was born the 6th of April. The next year in June, I had my first daughter. She was born the 7th. And the next year in July, my second daughter was born the 12th. And the next year, my middle son was born the 22nd.
Uncle Mike, yeah.
Mike. Then after Mike, the next year I had Jeff the first day of November. He's the baby. And that was my family. And then now I have 7 grandkids, 7 great-grandkids, and I'm feeling the pressures every day.
So now life with having kids. So you were 16 when you had your first one. How was life becoming a mother at that age and learning all of this stuff?
I had to ask a lot of questions, And I had a mother-in-law that was real good, and she had a phone, and I could call her any time and tell her what was wrong with the kids and what should I do. And if I had one of them that needed to go to the doctor, she stayed right there with the others till I was 21. And 6 weeks before he was born is when my mother was in a car accident with my dad driving, and her and my 10-year-old brother got killed. And so I didn't have my mom to lean on then because she lived further away, and she wasn't well either. But my mother-in-law was a godsend. She never refused to keep a child. And if I had a doctor's appointment, she was just glad to keep them. When they started school, if I couldn't be there, she was. She was good. And I tell the story oftentimes that I worked one time for 3 months. I worked 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. And the reason I had to quit my job was because my mother-in-law had supper every night for me. And time I got the kids fed and get them home, it was time to get them home, bath, and put to bed. And if I went home and cooked supper, while I was cooking supper, I could run a load of clothes and help them with homework and do other things. But she was just too good to me. But I paid her some, and them my grandbabies. I said, listen, I work and I make money, and you're going to take some money. So my mother-in-law was it for me. Don't know what I'd have done without her.
It's good. Now, so you was young and times were hard, but your children brought lots of joy to your life. You said your mother-in-law was a godsend. That's the next thing I want to talk about. So I know because I'm your granddaughter that God is a big importance in your life. Can you tell us what exactly God means to you?
Well, He means everything to me. If I have a problem, And there's many of them I can't do nothing about, but God can. And I know He will if I just leave it up to Him. And I pray and ask Him to take care of things. That's my right, my privilege, is to go to Him when I have a need. But He can do anything for me, and I do thank Him and praise Him every day. And I'll say one other thing. I never ever considered my kids a bother or trouble to me. Yeah, when they were sick, you know, they was trouble to tend to them and give them medicine and take care of them. I lost a lot of sleep. But I can't say they were a burden to me, 'cause they were my life. Worked my boots off, but I sure do. I did love them. I still love them.
So out of your entire life, you've had God to be there to see through you and your family. What do you think that is the hardest thing that you've ever endured in your life?
Losing Charles. Losing my soulmate. You know, I wasn't saved all my life, but God was taking care of me all my life, and I seen that after I got saved. I knew He was there when I wasn't saved. He was still watching out for me, 'cause my second son, Mike, he got deadly sick one time. He was anemic and he had pneumonia, and things were happening so fast. It didn't scare me, 'cause I was too young to be scared. I was 20 then, but I still was young. And when I found out he had pneumonia, and the doctor said to bring him back on Tuesday, and when I took him, he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "You told me to bring my baby back Tuesday." He said, "Lady, I thought your baby would be dead by Tuesday." So God brought him through it. And the neighbors were coming in to see if he's still making it.
Yeah, and so, you know, you talked about that being the hardest thing, losing your husband or grandpa, you know, and you lived more of your life with him than you did without him.
We lived like 2 weeks, being 54 years together, and I married at 15. So over almost 4 times as long with him as I did
without
single.
him.
Yep. So my way of life was just his way. Just whatever he done, that's where I went. I never regretted marrying him. I used to get mad at him and say, "I'm going to divorce you." And I told him one time, I said, "I'm not going to say that anymore, because that's stupid. Where am I going with 5 kids and no job?"
Right.
And you didn't have welfare. I didn't depend on welfare, so there wasn't any.
Just working it out, huh?
Just working it out.
And that definitely had to take God.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. He's never failed me.
So what do you think, that was the hardest thing you endured, losing Grandpa? What do you think is the best thing that's ever happened in your life?
Marrying him. The hardest thing, he was ornery. I've never said he was, but he was a good man, and when he got to know God, he was wonderful. He just loved the Lord so much.
Well, I'm glad that we've been able to do this and find some things out. I'm looking forward to more videos.
Sure.
To do this.
I can talk anytime.
Yeah. I think that I know that I've heard these stories before, but it's something that I always enjoy talking about with you, because it's my heritage, and hopefully I'll get better at asking the questions and videoing, not so many difficulties. But if you think back on all your years, you just turned in May, you turned 77. So of all of your years, what do you think is the best thing that you've learned? I know that you talked about God helping you through, but the actual thing that you could do, like in life, what's the best thing that you've learned that you can think of?
Is to go to Him in prayer, and don't rush Him. And sometimes things will happen. You'll think, "Where are you, God? Why didn't you answer my prayer?" He's answering it His way, not mine.
Right.
And I will never say that there's anything more important in my life than God. I had a mom and a dad, but, you know, we have our troubles in spite of mom and dad, in spite of husband, in spite of anybody. But God's the one that can change things. And He was there before I knew Him. He knew me. And if you don't know Him, good God to know, He's
It's the most
good-
important thing, huh?
Yes, that's the most important thing is just establish him and serve him. Don't just say I know him. Everybody knows about God. Everybody. But the thing is to serve him and know him personally. That's the point. But he's good. One of my little granddaughters used to say, "God is good."
All the time, huh?
All the time. Yes, indeed.